Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday. It's August 28th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And you can see we had a down day today. We closed off the lows. Look, we were going to close well off the lows, but there was some kind of late afternoon craziness. I think they released some earnings from some maybe Nvidia or somebody like that. I can't remember. Some of the tech companies. And man, the market just went haywire, and we ended up closing a lot lower than it looked like we were originally going to close. So I don't know what to think about today. I really didn't expect a sell-off today. I was a little taken aback. I thought we were going to go higher today, but we've definitely relieved a lot of the overbought situation now. We could be coming back to test this midline again. We could even go lower for that matter. Don't get me wrong. The market can always do what it wants. We do have a close outside new high on this channel right here, but I honestly thought we would make a retest of this high. I still think we'll make an all-time new high by making a retest of this high, but maybe we don't. Maybe this thing, this looks more like consolidation than a sell-off. And still, with that stem down there and the way that this kind of a lot of this selling came after hours, still we could turn back up from here. So, but at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if we got a little follow through selling tomorrow. So we'll just have to see what happens. This market's really crazy right now. Again, I don't think we're going to see uh, a major sell-off before the election. I've been saying that. I still stand behind that. Now, anything can happen, like I said, and that doesn't count something crazy happening. If a war starts up, a terrorist attack, anything crazy, natural disaster, some huge natural disaster, anything could happen that could affect this market, um, especially with the economy the way it is, and just with all the negativity floating around that we've got hanging above our heads right now. So anyway, there it is. Not what I expected for today. It didn't look like it was starting out. It looked like we were going to push higher, but that happens sometimes. You get surprised, and that's why I always tell you, follow the price action. Don't go with what you always think, because sometimes you'll be wrong, and that's just the way it is. The price action's never wrong. It's us that gets it wrong. So when you start thinking that, when you start trying to guess where the market's going to go, that's all that was, is, early on with me thinking it's going higher was just a guess, because there was no true evidence that we were going higher. So that was just a guess based on what I'm looking at here. But this could go either way. And this doesn't mean, it looks like we could just be in a little range here. If you look across here, we're still inside a range. So this still could be consolidation, and maybe we just need to let off a little more, because even here we're still in the upper band of being overbought, which is, anytime you get up in this upper band and close to the high band, then the path of least resistance is always going to be the other direction, because you're so overbought. And people are just looking for a chance to, this probably scares people into taking profits or whatever. Whatever reason markets do what they do, but doesn't matter what causes it. We don't really care about that. All we care is that we read the chart, understand what the chart's telling us, and at this point, we could just still be working sideways here. So you can see we turned down. We did push a little higher, but turned down right off that high level right there. So and we did bounce back inside the channel from here. So this could just be more sideways stuff. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. But let's flip over to the other chart. Okay, here we are, and you can see the craziness. You can see we were just kind of chopping along sideways, and then it looked like we were going to try to bounce out of there, and then boom, the bottom just fell out of it. Then it looked like we might reverse, and it took another big hit. Then we took all of it back. I don't know if some. I'm not sure what caused this sell off. There was a speaker at FOMC speaker. Waller was speaking at 12:15 today, so it could be something he said that caused that. I don't know for sure that that's a news item, but generally news items they take it back within the first hour, and you can see we took that back plus some really pretty quickly within a couple of hours, and then this happened. I mean, that's really crazy, and that's about I think when the some of the earnings news came out after hours, and that's probably what this is all about here. So anyway, this is why we don't trade much in this part of the day. The volume gets really thin, so it's easy to get crazy moves like that. But anyway, let's zoom in here. We'll go through the trades. You had to be a little patient. There was a couple of decent trades early, and then you had to kind of be a little patient the rest of the day. So, but 7 o'clock came as we're moving down here, and then of course you get two legs. There's a second entry there on 2 legs up, but it's a very neutral to almost positive bar, so you can't really enter there. There's a little trap right here, but by the time you enter, you're almost back to this high. It's just a 15 ticks. If this would have been a solid bearish bar where you could have traded on the engulfing bar, I'd say take that trade. The way this sits, when we haven't made a new low yet, and now you've got 2 legs back again, I'm not crazy about it. Here's another one. This just looks congested, but you can clearly see that this is a lower high, and it's a fairly bearish bar. I mean, I thought about that one hard. I'm not crazy about it, but it's very tempting trade. It's just, notice that this is a double bottom, so it's a new low, so it's a first entry and it's a second, so it's a second entry short as well. So you might have taken that trade. It looks a little congested, so that's the reason I wasn't real crazy about it, but you can argue it could be green, that's for sure. And then we had 2 legs back here again. We had a break higher and failure and turn down. It pretty much confirms that trend line. And this is mostly green, so you could have pretty much traded as an engulfing bar, or if you wait till this closes, you're looking at 21 ticks. If you just traded on this one, you're looking at almost half that. So that's the better place to enter that one, is the engulfing bar. And then we get a little triple test bounce down here on a second entry long. That's clearly a second entry right there. And we've tested this 3 times. So if it breaks higher, it's not a perfect signal bar, and we are in a downtrend, so but there's still some reasons to like that trade, so I did mark it green. And of course this one runs up, you get a close outside, couple legs up to a new high, and again this looks really congested, and there's some steam here. It couldn't close through the EMA, so I wasn't crazy about it, and it looked like I had, that was the right call when this bar sets up, because it looks like it's going to fail, but it ends up going lower. I just think you have to skip that trade. And then we come back here, and you clearly get a second move here. This is technically not a second entry short, because here's your new low, so it's a first entry, second entry, third entry. But we tried to go higher 3 times there and can't push through that trend line. Nice bearish bar, and it's clearly looks like 2 moves, so I like that one just because it's off the trend line, good signal bar, and we tried to go higher multiple times there. It's only good for a little more in the scalp, and then we finally get a close outside, and it looks like we're going to try to make a new low here. Here's another one. I meant to mark this one green here, but I meant to come back and look at it again. But it's clearly a lower high after this breakout, and you're looking for a retest, at least to try to retest the lows of the range and maybe get a retest of the entire lows here. And it looks like that's what's going to happen. And then this is when the bottom falls out. Um, there's two legs back here and a second entry short, but the signal bar is terrible, and then you get another doji, and so there's just really not a setup there. And you come back here and you just get a first entry, and look at that thing go. It's a shame that we didn't get any setups on this big move down. I mean, if you didn't enter here, you missed this one. So it's pretty simple. It's just simple as that, really. So, and you could argue this is a triple test. 1, 2, 3. It's not a perfect setup by any means, but it's there. And of course, you do get a close outside here and move to a new low, and then you're finding support across here. There's a triple test here, but I don't like this one because we couldn't get above that midline. And you see the next bar doesn't either, so it doesn't really trigger on that bar, and you can't use this for your signal bar, so there's really no setup there either. It comes back, but it gives you a bullish bar here right down there at the support again, so I like going long on that one. You get a little trend up here, close outside, new high, and second entry short right here. Nice signal bar. I like that one. We bounce a couple more times here, but no signal bar, and then we break out up here, but you get an inside bar. There's a little breakout pullback short here, but you don't want to be going short right there. We've already made a new low here after the close outside. Actually, we had a close outside here. We've already made a new low, and this is likely to fail. In fact, you might actually go long right there. You're better off to wait on the higher low, which never comes, but you might go long right there. As long as you got room to scalp out before getting back to here, that would be your what determines that one most likely, and how good you feel that it's going to be a failure right there. And it's clearly first entry, second. It's clearly two legs down. This congestion in the middle here, you got to be careful. But what you do is you get a leg down, and then you get a two-legged move. So that's the center of the pattern, and then another leg down. Just like so. So it's clearly two legs down. And so it's a good chance you're going to at least come back to test the breakout area. And it turns down again, but then it reverses out of there. And get a move all the way back up. But I don't see anything in here I like to go long or short. And then we're sideways, and you get a little failed breakout. And you tried to go higher there twice. You got a little double top, and I mean that bar is 8 ticks. So I like going short right there. And if you catch that one, that's the move of the day. And if you catch that one, I mean you can probably ride that for however many points. Let's just say you to your first bullish bar that gets a break above it. That's going to be right there. That's 26 points. And that happened in about 20 minutes. So that's a heck of a move. That's a point a minute. That's the kind you like to get. A point a minute is what you like to see. Now this is right here tripped up a lot of people. It looks like a little swing up, and then another little swing up, and a second entry short. And by the counts, it is a first entry and then a second entry. But really, all you have here is it looks like we were just having sideways with a little push down. But the problem is you get a close outside here and a new low all in one, which seems, does that seem convincing? I mean, that's a convincing close outside, and we do have a new low in place. But I will say, usually when you get a big trend move like this, and there's actually a close outside right here, is it convincing? Not super convincing. But if you look at that trend line, I'm pretty sure that trend line's correct. And it almost closed outside there, and then it does here. Although it's nothing spectacular, it's still a close outside. But there's no doubt there's a close outside and new low right here. So when you get this sideways stuff, you just treat that like a range. And so this is like a little failed breakout. And anytime you go short on a failed breakout on the main breakout, it's subject to fail. And that's what happened here. That's why you know, we say normally you want to wait on a lower high, and so it takes 3 trend bars to really have a leg. Now, if you don't get me wrong, if you have a swing, if you had a couple of bars up and a couple of bars down and another swing up and a second entry, that's fine. You'll see that. You don't necessarily always have to have a trend, but here to get this first leg after going into this range, it's got to be a real leg, and you don't have that there. It's just, I mean, I don't even. It's just 2 bars, and really it looks like we're working sideways, and when the next bar is an inside bar, and then another one in the, so that's about the only clues you got not to take that. I can see, yeah, clearly it looks like 2 swings back, but you got to account for all this here in the middle. And you got to understand that this is, because of all this here, this is just a failed breakout, not necessarily 2 legs back. So really the uptrend starts right here, and you don't get a break till here, and it tries a couple of times to, tried 1, 2, 3 times to make a new high and couldn't. I like going short there. It's a quick, easy move, but now you've made 3 down here, and it's 3 very equal matching lows. And so I like going long there. You don't know it's going to do this, but you should easily get a scalp out of it. But this thing takes off and never looks back. So there's you another. I mean, once again, you get a runner. And if you go to the first bearish bar that gets a break below it, there's another 22 points. So, and this one happened in 13 minutes. So you could have traded from 12:30 really to 1:30, and so an hour and 15 minutes, and made 40 points easy on a run on just singles. So, you know, if you're running multiple, let's just say you have 5 runners there, there's 100 points down and 100 and something points up. I mean, that covers a lot of losers, a lot of failures, and there's, I mean, there's a good reason to take that trade. I will say this, because this next bar doesn't break above, you might say, okay, I probably don't want to take this trade, but not necessarily when there's nobody there and it opens and closes basically back at the same spot. It just like when it breaks above there, you probably want to go with it. So if this would have been an inside bar, maybe not. I mean, it is an inside bar, don't get me wrong, but it opens and closes at the same height as the other one closed. So it's like it almost erased everything it did there. And off it goes. And of course you get your close outside new high, and then you get a lower high here with a big bearish bar. There's another easy move down. And if you got a runner here, this one might have been a little more difficult to get a runner. First bar, that bullish bar break, there's 6 points right there on that move. And then it makes a new low and gives you a second entry long. I would just count this as sideways. Here's your first, this is your move down, second move down. So that's a second entry long. It's not, and you do get a break in new low. Generally, you want to wait on a higher low, which comes here, and it's not a very good setup. So you can't go long there. But if you took this one, it's a little more aggressive now, don't get me wrong. But if you took it, you might have got another runner. And that took us into 230, which it looked like it was just going to be a regular 230 that kept creeping higher, and then suddenly all this happens. So interesting day, and I'm not sure what to expect for tomorrow. Like I said, you know, looking at that, let's go back and look at the daily chart, because we don't know anything from this what it's going to do tomorrow. This won't have anything to do with tomorrow. You want to go back to the daily chart to kind of get an idea of what might transpire tomorrow. And here's that daily chart, and you can see we're just kind of chopping sideways. So this just looks like consolidation to me. Again, I didn't really expect this to sell off like this today. And again, it probably would have closed right here around where this midline is if we hadn't had that craziness. I mean, that still counts, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that's, I think that's an anomaly. So, and we did close back still inside this little congested area. So it just still looks like consolidation at this point, but giving us a lot more room to the upside now. And we're going to need a lot more room because in order to retest this high, we're going to have to get way up here. And it's very rare you're going to push through this brown up here very far. So to me, it feels like we're going to have to either correct some more or get some more consolidation before we really take off and go higher, if we're going to do it quickly. Now, we could just start getting a little higher and a little higher and a little higher. It's not going to be anything like this. It might look more like something kind of like this right here. Maybe not even that. If we're going to make a new high. But I still say I believe we'll make a new high here before it's over. So anyway, again, that looks like consolidation. Doesn't mean we can't break lower and trade lower tomorrow. But I think this is still the way it closed. I didn't think we were still in consolidation, but I believe we are after coming up back and looking at the chart. So we could still just go sideways or turn up now. We've given ourselves a little room. But my guess is we may chop sideways a little bit until we've relieved a lot more of this pressure, and then we might be able to shoot on up some more. We'll see what happens, but again, we could still go lower, but it really looks like we're still in that consolidation in that little range. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. That'll wrap up our week. No chart lessons on Fridays. I did look at the today I ran a 1200 tick chart, and I liked it better than the 1000 tick chart. It does smooth things out a little bit in some cases. Some of the bars are a little bit smaller. There's more reasonable bars, and when they are bigger, they're not the 25 or 30 tick chart size bars. They're 12 to 15 tick bars, the really big ones and things like that. So I think it might be worth looking at trying to run this smaller chart. Again, I don't think you want to get below 1,000, and 1,200. I might run a 1,500 tomorrow and just watch it and see what it looks like. But I'm thinking somewhere between 1,200 and 1,500 is probably going to be the sweet spot with the volatility like it is now. If the volatility gets higher, then yeah, you might could go to 1,000. But if the volatility slows down, you're going to have to creep back up and probably get back to a 2,000. So you just have to. That's the problem when you start picking different size charts. There's benefits, but all of a sudden you say you move to a 1,500 tick chart and you start trading that, but then the volatility slows down a lot, where you need to go back to a 2,000 tick chart, and then you're constantly switching your charts around, and you got to keep an eye on them, and it's not a huge deal, but it's just a change. And I prefer not to do that as long as things are going well. I just kept trading the 2,000 tick chart. But there's nothing wrong in this higher volatility with dropping down. Just don't go too low, because you'll get a lot of false triggers. Then you'll have a bunch of losses. So I think there's some value right now for trying to keep your stop smaller by going to a smaller chart. But try 12 to 1,500. I may try a 1,500 tick chart tomorrow and see what that brings, and we'll see. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.